Hi Liam, hope you're okay. This is going to be a very, very short video for two reasons. Number one, I've never used this OBS software before. However, I plan to start to try and understand it a bit more. And secondly, I'm probably nowhere near as confident as you guys are in terms of presenting videos. So it's going to be a very quick one. So I just wanted to show you two charts and just very briefly talk about the selling low thing. So the first chart I'm going to look at is GJ, which is the one that you actually made a video for me on, and you highlighted this area here, and what you said was that the move, as you call it, and as Matt calls it, the move, would have been around about, and I'm sorry if you can see my cursor. I hope you can see my cursor, but I'm going to sort of point things out with my cursor until I understand how to use this a bit better. So you were saying that the move would have been around about here. Obviously not on the fundamental. We remember that fundamental. That was the one where unfortunately me and Josh, I believe, we just didn't. We were hypnotized, or I was hypnotized by it, and we were like, well, personally I was 90 to 100 pounds up in about 12 seconds, and I just didn't pull out. But I guess you just learn from experience. I think you set a did you set a limit, a take profit or something, knowing that fundamentals were coming up? Anyway, sorry, I'm veering off topic. So you said the move was here. Okay, I do get that. Of course I get that, because the higher you sell, the better your pips, the better your profit. That's great. Okay. But I wouldn't have had in mind, no one would have had in mind any kind of entry about down here at this point up here, obviously, because the market hasn't come to that point yet, right? Okay. So what would be the confluence for taking the trade around here? Well, I guess number one, we've got a resistance level for sure. If it's looking to the left, resistance here, looking more left, resistance here, resistance here. So, okay, that would be one reason. The second reason would be we're clearly in a downtrend. The third reason would be rejection at this level. And I guess if we look, we're on the 4 hour, and what we've got here is we've got what looks like an evening star to me. So we've got a lovely big bullish, then we've got a doji indicating that the buying interest has decreased, and again it's confused by that fundamental, but let's just ignore that. And then of course we've got the bearish candle coming in, so that could have been a signal to sell off. Okay, what other places? Well, the only other place that I can see that might have been good for a sell would be there, right? Because support turns to resistance, and then we've got another area here where we could have sold, which wouldn't be as low as selling where I sold. Now I get what you mean. I think this whole selling low, buying high thing, I think in terms of what we're talking about, what it refers to is it's very integrated with confluence, right? So if the confluence is not there to take a position, then it's not good enough just to have a strong level. In other words, just to look at my 139.20 level there and say, okay, it's a strong level, the market's bearish, I'll take a sell. I get that. And the other thing I also get that you pointed out was that this is on the 4 hour, and in fact I went in literally at the close of this second candle here, this one that I'm just over here, and in fact I was looking at 1 hour candles, so I was looking at the fact that we had some rejection on 1 hour candles just in this section. Now, you said, well, just because it's strong level, that's not enough confluence. How do we know it's going to go low? It probably will come back up and retest, and in fact it did exactly that. Over the next few hours, what it did is it came back and it almost retested here, and then it definitely retested, broke through, and then came back here. And then in fact it did 2 more tests. Here it almost came back and touched a level, and this on this one here it did touch a level. So it really did come back and test, and in fact it didn't fall much lower. Now of course my target was down here. I came out of it around about here, so I made a little bit of profit, but it was no big deal. But the thing that came out of this for me was that certainly, yes, I can see why I sold low. I can definitely see that. But I was just really trying to get into my head what the other sell positions were that I could have taken. And of course, I can only see 2 that I can see anyway, which is here and, as I said before, there. So for me, it's about, the whole, like I said, the whole thing about not selling low and not buying high is about the whole confluence of taking a position with all those other factors that indicate that it's okay to take that position. So I reckon I've got that. And I think that the reason I took this position down here was what you said again in your video, which was that, yes, it was a strong level, not enough reason. Number 2, the market is clearly very bearish. Again, those 2 together, not really enough reason. And I think I got lucky. And I think that's why I took a tiny bit of profit in that trade before I came out of it. The only other one I want to look at is USD CHF, which is where me, you, and Josh went into. And I've tried to recreate it. I think I've recreated it. Actually, no. You know what? It was like, I think it might have been. No, that doesn't make sense. Hang on. I think it was like this. I think that was the setup. So we had tested resistance up here. One, depending on how many times you want to count swings, but I guess 1, 2, 3 swings up, each time rejection. We got the final rejection down to this trend line, and my first entry I think was around about your first entry, which is indicated on my chart here, which was around about this level. And you know what I wanted to ask you? I wanted to ask you why that wasn't selling low. But to be honest, I'm not sure that I've recreated exactly how the lines were, the trend line, and the resistance level definitely is right. But this trend line, I'm not 100% sure. But I just don't understand why that wasn't selling particularly low. I think Matt actually said that any entry at that point was selling low, and you disagreed. Anyway, so what I did was I was going into drawdown not long after I took that first entry. And then what I did was I actually came out, I think I took about a £5.50 hit, something like that. And then I took a second entry where it's indicated here. Now that entry for me was a lot nicer. And that's why I stayed in the trade, I think, until probably around about down here somewhere, somewhere around there. Again, I hope you can see what I'm pointing at, because I don't even know if these cursors are coming out on the video, but you'll let me know soon, and I guess I'll be able to look as well. So all in all, I guess the thing is that with this particular setup, with USD CHF, yeah, you could have taken an entry up here when it resisted the resistance level for the 3rd time, but of course you never knew at that point that it was going to break this trend line, right? So I guess a question to you here is, would it have been sensible to take a position on the 3rd tap of this resistance, which of course would have been selling high, which is what we want, or do you think that where you took the position was a good position, and in fact where I took the position also was a fair entry? So maybe you can let me know what you think on that. I'm going to end the video here because I've got no idea how this is going to come out. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know whether you can see what I'm pointing at, and it's a bit intimidating, to be honest. So I hope you get this. All right, cheers.